Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from The Federalist. It's from September 11th. But this is the day after the debate happened, and I promised in yesterday's video that I would give you some information about the lies Kamala told in her debate against Trump, and that is the actual article title here. 25 lies Kamala Harris told in her debate against Trump. This one's a bit of a long one, so strap yourselves in and let's go through the BS that Kamala spewed, that she was not fact-checked on a single bit. And it says, here are some of the biggest falsehoods Harris told during her debate with Trump. It says, taking a page out of her boss's playbook, Vice President Kamala Harris told major whoppers during her Tuesday night debate against Donald Trump, with help from left-wing activists masquerading as debate moderators, which was awful. Harris whitewashed her extreme record, lied about Trump's policy positions, and more. Here are some of the biggest falsehoods she told throughout the evening. Gonna cough. Not cutting that out. Number 1, middle-class kid. Does Harris claim that she grew up as a middle-class kid? That is not true. As previously noted by journalist Megyn Kelly, Harris's father was a professor at Stanford University, while her mother was a biomedical scientist at UC Berkeley. And she grew up in an affluent suburb of Montreal, mind you. So she is not a middle-class child, and I don't know why Trump didn't call her out on that. 2, Trump's tax cuts. Does Harris falsely insinuated that the 2017 tax cuts approved by the Trump administration disproportionately benefited America's billionaires and corporations? That is not true. This data produced by the IRS has shown that, on average, all income brackets benefited substantially from the Republicans' tax reform law, with the biggest beneficiaries being working and middle-income filers, not the top 1%, according to Justin Haskins writing on The Hill. This is Trump's sales tax. Harris claimed that Trump will implement a sales tax. Trump has not pledged to do such a thing if elected president. In fact, I've heard him just saying about cutting taxes on things. I've never heard him say anything about implementing any sort of tax at all. And I'm not sure I'd vote for him if he was going to do that. Because, end the Fed. Taxation is theft. Number 4 says January 6th. Says Harris contended that the January 6th, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol was the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. I'm going to say hi to the community note that I'm sure is going to pop up on this video below by the time you watch this, because I said the magic words here. There they are. But it says, contrary to Harris's claim, the January 6th events did not put American self-governance in jeopardy, nor did it expose Americans to risks like those experienced during World War I, Japanese attacks on Pearl Harbor, or World War II, to name a few. Yeah, they certified the election like 3 hours after it happened, so how bad of an attack could it have been? This is just the line that the Democrats use. You hear them all say that, and it's like, it's just not true. Project 2025. Yeah, this one annoyed me. Because it says Harris claimed Trump will implement Project 2025 if elected, and here's why it annoyed me. It says Trump has repeatedly said he has nothing to do with Project 2025. Yes, but they keep hammering it home. And plus, if you read it, it's like they're trying to make it out to be some sort of extremist thing. It's not, at all. So it says number 6, just restoring Roe. When asked whether she supports any restrictions on abortion, Harris dodged the question, instead claiming that she absolutely supports reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. Well, good luck with that. Says moments before that, however, Harris pledged to sign legislation such as the ill-named Women's Health Protection Act, which would codify abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. That's disgusting. As in addition to her history of co-sponsoring the original version of that legislation, Harris also voted against protections for babies born alive after botched abortions. And I think this was when one of the fact checks came in where, I can't remember which moderator it was, but they said that's not happening to babies where they're being born alive, and then, well, it's not abortion, it's infanticide, it's murder at that point. And it turns out, oh, wait, that's actually happening. But anyway, it says pro-life laws criminalize miscarriages and ectopic pregnancies. It says Harris claimed that several states have Trump abortion bans that make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care, threaten women with prison time, and make no exception even for that word there, or incest. It says the life-saving laws designed to protect thousands of innocents every year from elective abortions, however, do not criminalize treatments for spontaneous loss or complications. In fact, every single pro-life policy on the books includes exceptions for abortion when it is deemed necessary to save the life of a pregnant woman. So Kamala's doing real good at this point, just lying her ass off. This is 8, Trump's abortion stance. It says Trump, Harris told Americans on Tuesday night, will sign a national abortion ban and hire a national abortion monitor. Okay, that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages if he's elected. I don't even remember her saying that, but that's retarded. Okay. Says the Republicans' 2024 abortion platform, however, explicitly states decisions about ending life in the womb should be left up to the states and mentions nothing about crowning a national pro-life coordinator. The GOP presidential nominee has also sworn multiple times that he would not sign federal legislation curbing abortion. Number 9 with abortions don't exist. Oh, here we go. It says Harris also used her time on the debate stage to assert that nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America, Harris claimed. And this is data for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, however, shows that thousands of abortions are performed after 21 weeks gestation. And that's generally the time, for people that don't know, that babies can survive outside the womb is at 21 weeks. It's usually what they give. Just mentioning that, why that's there. It says the CDC's findings do not include... Screen jumped there for a minute. But the CDC's findings do not include reporting from at least 4 abortion-friendly states. It's California, Maryland, New Hampshire, and New Jersey, which suggests the number of late-term abortions in the U.S. is likely much higher. 10. Border bill. Harris claimed a congressional border bill proposed earlier this year would have stemmed illegal immigration and fentanyl at the U.S. southern border, as that statement is categorically false. The bipartisan measure would have enshrined the existing invasion into federal law. 11. SCOTUS immunity ruling. Says Harris mischaracterized the Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity, claiming the decision would mean that Trump would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. And I know that isn't what they said. I couldn't remember what the ruling was, but I remember her saying that. I'm like, no, that's not actually true. It says the vice president's claim is misleading at best. While a majority of justices determined that a U.S. president possesses absolute immunity for actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority, and why does the screen keep doing that? Just did it again. And at least presumptive immunity for official acts, they separately noted that there is no immunity for unofficial acts. Says the justices, further remanded that the Biden-Harris Justice Departments get Trump lawfare back to the lower courts to determine whether the actions alleged by Special Counsel Jack Smith constitute official acts. Fracking ban, number 12. As Kamala Harris claimed she made herself very clear in 2020, I will not ban fracking, she said. But her position was clearly against fracking as she ran for her party's 2020 presidential nomination when she said, there is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. And here are the embedded tweets showing both of those different scenarios. And we're halfway through at this point, so you think she's lied about enough crap already? But nope, let's keep going. Number 13, Minnesota rioters bail fund. Harris seemingly denied that she undertook efforts to bail out left-wing rioters following the 2020 death of George Floyd. She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail, Trump said as Harris shook her head. Now, the tweet is still up, Kamala. We can all see it. And there's numerous people out there that have basically screenshotted to their pages, so you should not have a problem finding that. As the Federalist Jordan Boyd previously noted, accused that word there, repeat offenders and rioters alike benefited in June 2020 when Harris encouraged her social media followers to donate to a bail fund dedicated to those arrested for their months-long $2 billion siege of cities like Minneapolis. It says 14, Trump's role in January 6th. It says Harris claimed Trump incited the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. Once again, I give a shout out to the inevitable community note that's going to pop up on the video. It says that is false. Trump specifically told protesters to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard and sought to deploy 10,000 National Guard troops to the Capitol ahead of Congress's certification of the 2020 election results. Yes, he did. I mean, the peacefully and patriotically, again, his tweet has been up forever. So when they're saying he incited them, like, when you tell people just be calm, don't do anything stupid, like, I don't know how that's inciting people, but okay, I guess words mean different things to leftists, as we figured out. Deep breath. Number 15, J6 deaths. Yeah, this is another one that really pissed me off. Like, how does she not know this at this point? As Harris claimed that some police officers died as a result of the demonstrations at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. And if you don't know about this, folks out there, this is going to blow your mind. It says this is false. For example, medical examiners determined that Officer Brian Sicknick died of natural causes, not from the violence perpetrated on January 6th. And by the way, since it didn't actually say what I thought it was going to say, no cops died on January 6th. And I know it's going to come as a shock. And if you're on the left and you're going, there's no way that's true, I hate to break it to you, but it is. Okay. The only person that died on January 6th was a woman named Ashley Babbitt, who was killed, as Trump said, by a police officer who actually had a history of firearm discharge issues, we shall say. So, yeah, she should still be alive today. She's the only death from January 6th. 16, Fine People hoax. It says Harris repeated the debunked lie that Trump praised white supremacists marching in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 when he said there were fine people on both sides. It says this is false, as Trump was referring to both sides of the debate on whether to allow historic monuments to remain standing. And the Fine People hoax is probably the one hoax, if you will, that has red-pilled more people than I've ever seen online. Like, this is the one where people go, like, I was so pissed he said this, and then they look up what he actually said, and they're like, wait, he didn't say that at all. Like, why did the media tell us that he said that? And then they go down this rabbit hole of, like, what else has the media lied to us? And then, oh, it turns out that they realize that they've been lied to the entire time. This is, like, basically ground zero for people being red-pilled, is this hoax. So, yeah, keep saying that, assholes. And I'm talking specifically to Kamala and anybody on the left. 17, the bloodbath hoax. Harris regurgitated the false narrative that Trump claimed there would be a bloodbath if he loses this November. And I've found this, I mean, this is, when it happened, you can very clearly see what he's talking about. It has literally nothing to do with, like, a bloodbath on people at all. It says, if the vice president took Trump out of context, the 40th president was not calling for violence, but was discussing the economic disaster that awaits Americans if Democrats win the election. Yeah, I think he was in Michigan, and he was visiting, like, a car manufacturing plant, and said, like, if Kamala wins, the jobs are going to go to China and it's going to be a bloodbath for, like, the economy. There's basically something to that effect, but it had nothing to do with people being hurt. It says 18, Trump's NATO comments. Can we just be done with NATO and the UN and all that, please? It says Harris distorted the former president's remarks by claiming if he told Russia it could do whatever the hell it wants regarding Ukraine. Harris took the former president out of context, which seems to be a pattern here. As Trump's remarks came during a South Carolina rally, during which he recounted a story from when he was president and speaking with a NATO member. Trump purportedly indicated that he would withhold U.S. support if the member didn't pay its minimum defense spending obligations, which I remember him saying this all the way back to when he was elected. Says, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? Trump recalled telling the unidentified NATO member. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay your bills. Then it says 19, autocrats' preferences for president. Harris claimed that the world's autocratic leaders are pulling for Trump to win. While there is no definitive way for Harris to know this for most leaders, which is true, Russian President Vladimir Putin did publicly throw his support behind Harris's presidential bid last week. Uh-oh, Kamala, what are you going to say about that? There's 20, combat zones. Harris claimed that there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world for the first time this century. And I can just, like, when she said that, I was just like, you might want to tell that to the troops that are in combat zones right now around the world. Okay? And in fact, there's a funny, like, TikTok or something that came out within the last couple of days of, you just see it's like the TV of the debates playing and Kamala says that quote and the camera pans to the service members that are actually, they're like, wait, they didn't tell us this. But it says this isn't true. It says, as noted by former U.S. Rep. Peter Meyer, Republican of Michigan, the United States has troops in Syria and Iraq who are routinely attacked by Iran-backed militias. It says 3 soldiers were killed in Jordan earlier this year, he wrote on X. It's because Kamala is an idiot. She just went and lied. So 21, blaming Trump for Biden's botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Yes, which Trump had nothing to do with. And they keep trying to blame him, and it's like, he was out of office for like 7 months when this happened, guys. So it says Harris attempted to pin the Biden-Harris administration's botched Afghanistan withdrawal, which got 13 U.S. service members killed, on Trump. It says Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine, Harris claimed. That isn't true. It says, according to a report recently released by Republicans on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, the evidence proves President Biden's decision to withdraw all U.S. troops was not based on the security situation, the Doha Agreement, or the advice of his senior national security advisors or our allies. Rather, it was premised on his longstanding and unyielding opinion that the United States should no longer be in Afghanistan. And I believe I'm going to have a video about this specifically, not her lying about it, but the report that came out within the next couple of days. So keep an eye out for that. It says 22, gun confiscation. It says Harris claimed that she doesn't support mandatory gun confiscation, except when she openly expressed support for such a policy. So that's kind of funny that happened. Number 23, we're almost there, folks, is Trump's foreign policy record. Harris claimed Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. Yeah, it's like, we were paying attention, lady. Like, he was not. Like, okay. So there's so many examples I'm thinking about in my head right now where he basically, like, world leaders were basically, like, crapping their pants around Trump and like wouldn't do anything. That's why no Americans were like really hurt when he was in office. So it says that's false. It says under Trump's administration, the U.S. southern border was secure, and America facilitated multiple peace agreements between Israel and Arab states. Yep, the Abraham Accords. This is under the Biden-Harris administration. Russia invaded Ukraine. Iran backed Hamas, launched a terrorist attack on Israel, and China has ramped up its threats toward Taiwan, the Philippines, and Japan. Doesn't it, at this point, I mean, I know we're only 2 from the end, but doesn't it seem like that Kamala's just projecting, like, a lot here? So this is 24, defunding the police. Harris shook her head and claimed that's not true when confronted by Trump over her past support for defunding the police. As noted by ABC News, however, Harris previously expressed support for reimagining policing, which is what that means, redirecting resources from police towards what the outlet described as other areas of government such as schools and small businesses. And finally, 25, IVF. In an attempt to link Democrats' abortion goals with in vitro fertilization, Harris claimed that Donald Trump's abortion bans couples who pray and dream of having a family that are being denied IVF treatments. Trump, however, has openly touted IVF and even promised that he would make taxpayers fund it. There we go. All right, we have finally finished here. So if you are someone that's watching the debate and you're not already supporting Trump, like, here's all the reasons why you should support Trump is because Kamala just lies. And like I said, basically everything she said Trump does is she herself is actually doing. And then there's the big quote that Trump said at the end, which I agree with Ben Shapiro when he said it should have been something Trump said at the opening, which was, why isn't she doing any of these things now that she keeps saying she's going to do? She's the vice president. She's in office. Why isn't she doing any of them? Like, you think she's just going to suddenly pick up in 5 months and start doing those things then? No. So let's leave it at that because this one has gone on long enough. So now that you see these two, you saw the debate and you heard ABC fact check Trump a few times and get their fact checks wrong, and now you've heard all the whoppers that Kamala said when she was just basically lying her ass off the entire time. What do you think about the debate? Who do you think won? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.